Straya, how are you going? How you going? Are you right? You should be. Why is that, Jim? Well, it's Monday, June 22, and the NBA draft is like a day and a half away. That's right. But no basketball. It's the draft. It's going to be fun because I really like it. Yeah. I just made that off the top of my head. That was pretty good. This is NBA Straya. I am your host, James Clements, here in Larry Armour Studios, the Monday evening after my birthday weekend. I'll get to that at the top of the show. But very quickly, today's show, the draft. Right? Basically, I waited all day to see if Giannis would get traded. He didn't. So the big trade we're all been waiting on happened, and it was Aaron Wiggins to the Atlanta Hawks. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about some extensions, other things, the frothing over Giannis. You know my vibe on that. Sure. But most of all, the big thing that we always do here on NBA Straya every draft time is just go through the first round, figure out exactly what every team needs, and try to make it happen. So, Jim's first round mock draft. That's what we do. Basically, just knowing the NBA inside and out and how, the teams operate. It's all going to be chaos, but we'll have a crack. So that'll be it. And that's all today's show. So that'll be fun. So without further ado, let's get into it. Episode 1420 of NBA Straya. Let's go.
This is Josh Giddey.
G'day, this is Andrew Gaze.
This is Jack White.
This is Joe Ingles.
This is Dyson Daniels.
This is Chris Anstey.
This is Matthew Delvedova.
This is Shane Hill.
You're listening to NBA Australia.
And you're listening to NBA Australia.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Australia.
And you're listening and watching NBA Straya.
This is NBA Australia. Let's do it.
Watch out for the shark attack.
You better watch out for the attack of Jim's extremely big birthday weekend. Better watch out for the Giannis, what the bloody hell is going on here attack as well. Waiting for Godot, right? We're basically doing waiting for Giannis. Spoiler alert, in waiting for Godot, there's just two blokes having a chat and Godot never rocks up, right? That's the thing. It's an allegory, I assume. In this case, Goddo is Giannis and his trade, and just it's not happening yet, and it's very weird. I say this now, and of course, overnight, Shams will tweet about it, and I'll have to do a show tomorrow, but whatever. That's future Jim's problem, and that guy, screw him. Anyway, birthday weekend. Basically, I think I hit a point last night where I was more barbecued meats than man.
There's more barbecued meats now than man.
Yeah, that's basically how I rolled. It was a lot of meats. It was just, holy crap. Old mate and I stayed in the city. My folks came down to look after the squids for us on Saturday after we all went out for like a late lunch dinner thing. Place in, actually close by, over in Ascot Vale. Third Wave Barbecue. Not bad. Love me some fancy hanks in the city as well. This is pretty good. It was a lot of meat. Just give me all the meats, he says. And they did. So that was cool. Some really good beers as well. Two Brothers, I think was the brewery that they had on tap. Bloody good. Anyway, I went bowling with some mates, then just went out with old mate and a couple of mates of mine and just drank, partied, listened to some tunes. Went to, I don't know, 3 or 4 bars and you're just rooted by the end of that. You're just I'm so tired. It's very late. But I had a great time, partied hardy. But yeah, having a hotel in the city so you don't have to get up to 2 punching on squids every day like I do was very good. So yeah, we took our leisurely time, had a nice, lovely, very, very fancy breakfast and moseyed on. Went down to the NBA store again. I'm like, I was just in the NBA store in New York like a week and a half ago. And here I am at the one in Melbourne. This one's a little bit, at least they had some hats that I'm like, ooh. I'm like, I'm not a big, if you've watched the YouTube, you'll see that I'm not a big the curved brim guy. Big flat brim gentleman me. And they've gone out of style. So they've literally only got one range of the flat brims now in the NBA store, and that just sort of shits me to tears. Like the tenants. You ship me to tears. Now give me a flat brim or I'll punch you in the dick. Yeah. So anyway, did a bit of, wandering. Made it back to the Squids, hung out some more. Big old fucking, even more food and booze. It was just a really good weekend. So I'm a bit cooked, but it's all right. Because all I spent today doing was like going through draft stuff, doing a little bit of other bits and bobs and trying to organise an electrician. But anyway, so good weekend was had. Thank you to all the lovely birthday cheers from, what was that, following Thursday's show. Took Friday off, did absolutely fucking sweet fuck all. Took myself out for breakfast. It was awesome. Dropped the Squids off and then just, went and hung out. It was really, really nice. Been watching a lot of the soccer. It's been very fun. So, but anyway, let's do the bloody show. I've already talked about myself enough. I will tell you though, I did, in sort of like going out and sort of, running around, we went bowling and I find it amazing. I go bowling every birthday. I've done it for, it's a really long time, like 20 years. I think we've gone bowling almost every single time. Anyway, it still blows my mind that we can't sort of sync up the music that's being played and then what's happening on the big fucking screens at the end of the bowling alley. What are we doing here? I don't know when the last time I went that was like all actually matched up. It's fucking weird, right? It's bonkers. So we need to fix this shit. Anyway, let's start today's show with apparently a soliloquy about my weekend, but also with the daily... Oh, is it a whip around, Jim? Yes, it is. Because there were a little couple of bits and bobs that we would term news, including a trade today that wasn't the bloody Giannis trade, because that'd make everyone's life too easy, and Milwaukee definitely aren't getting cold feet and shitting themselves. But obviously, since we last spoketh, they had the Knicks parade. That was fantastic because the Knicks... That's right, the New York City Knickerbockers of New York City are still the NBA champions. I got mates of mine at the parade having a great time. One mate of mine sort of like went in there super early and then went back and got his kid, like brought him as well as it sort of thinned out a little bit. Looked amazing. He had champagne sprayed on him by Deuce McBride and high-fived Jose Alvarado, a bunch of other fun stuff. So that was pretty cool. I had another mate who sort of just went along and checked it out, saw a couple punch-ons. Like, hell yeah. But anyway, it seemed very, very good. And I don't know, like it seems like New York ought to be absolutely perfectly set up to do a giant parade and like, yes, disrupt the entire city, but whatever. It seems like they sort of tried to limit it, and I think that made more problems than anything else. Anyway. That was kind of neat. Good stuff. Way to party hearty, New York. It looked amazing, right? And I think I've talked about this heaps and heaps and heaps. The vibe about the Knicks, while I was there, was absolutely off its head. And I think, obviously, during the finals, it only just, went more absolutely fucking bananas. And, yeah, the sort of outpouring of sheer jubilation, delight, disbelief, all rolled into one chaotic ball is, perfectly New York. So, yeah. One of the big losers, we hit on this in the winners and losers, I think, was the Brooklyn Nets. They've got to be sitting there going, oh, fuck, do we have any fans? This is shit. Anyway, the trade today, Oklahoma City. So we've talked about this before. We went over the other day the 10 big questions heading into this offseason. And a lot of this is, the Knicks, can they repeat? What's going to happen with Giannis? The draft, how does the top four shake out? And then what happens after that? LeBron, free agency, what do the other contenders do? And OKC was an interesting one because it's like they have too many dudes. They are paying a very large luxury tax bill and they lost to the Spurs. And they've got 2 picks in this draft. So there's a little bit going on there, right? The other questions were what do the other contenders do? We go through the contenders. Brooklyn and Michael Porter Jr., what's going to happen there? That's chaotic. You got Charlotte, Houston, and Denver. Who's going to be the team that does something weird just out of the absolute box? And you're like, Sacramento have gone and traded for Ja Morant or something, right? those, like the Clippers might be the team that does something weird and goes and trades Kawhi, because that's another thing I'll get to in a second. But anyway, the actual trade that's already happened, Aaron Wiggins goes to the Atlanta Hawks for 2 second-round picks. And that's it. Because they had a trade exception, and yeah, they can just slot that into their salary cap space. So Aaron Wiggins goes. That opens up, I think they've now got 2 spots on that roster. It reduced, I think they had a projected tax penalty of $213 million. That's now down to $152. That's still a big chunk of bloody coin. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what else OKC do between literally right now, that trade, and then the draft when they have 2 picks. And remember, first round picks are guaranteed contracts unless you're like drafting and stashing someone overseas. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. The other stuff that happened, CJ McCollum, the only man who could beat the New York Knicks this offseason, apparently. A 1-year, $21 million contract extension with a trade kicker, I think, of 7.5%, which is a nice chunk of change as well. So, yeah, he's got the expiring contract. They extend that, boom. 1 year, 21 mil. Keep him around, which is smart because I think, again, the Hawks are another team going into this draft where there's a couple of moving pieces. I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, having 2 picks in this draft, you're trying to figure out, like, does that mean we can trade up? What are we going to do? Who knows? Let's find out. But keeping CJ makes a bit of sense because they got so much better after they traded Trae Young, got CJ in the door. And I don't know, he just sort of frees up their offense that little bit. Keeping him around makes a bit of sense. Other bits and bobs, Colin Gillespie. Yep, the most unassuming looking of NBA players, unless you're Tyler Kolek, who was nearly arrested at his own championship parade as a member of the New York Knicks. New York City cops, as a band once said, they ain't too smart. Because they tried to arrest a member of the Knicks because he was running along high-fiving people. They're like, you don't look like an NBA player. And they jumped him. Now, far be it from me to say that, well, he was white, so they didn't beat the shit out of him. So, it could have gone worse for Tyler Kolek. But anyway, classic. Anyway, Colin Gillespie also looks very, very white and unassuming, but he just scored a 4-year, $28 million contract. Isn't that nice? Good on him. He was real good for the Suns this season too, so good on him. Jordan Goodwin as well, 3-year, $19 million extension to stick with the Suns. And this is the thing with the Suns. They sort of had to do this because they don't have, like, picks for the foreseeable future. And so they obviously outperformed expectation this season, and now they're kind of like, well, we need to keep some of our dudes to stay competitive because we've got no reason to tank, and here we are. So don't mind that for them. Other bits and bobs. What's going on with Kawhi? My favorite thing about it is that no one seems to know. There's a lot of chatter about like, oh, maybe the Clippers will trade Kawhi. And it's like, yeah, fucking, and maybe Sydney Sweeney might just rock up at the door and be like, hey, Jim, can I jump on and co-host NBA Straya? I'd be like, geez, sure thing, Sid. Get in here. I mean, maybe, but who knows? The Kawhi question, I guess, like if the Clippers, because they've got, if they were able to have another pick in this draft, right? So they got 5. Maybe they move on from Kawhi and just reset around Darius Garland. This is like a thing that's being tossed around. Maybe Miami, if they luck out on Giannis, Kawhi is like a secondary target. Golden State appear to be trying to like kick the tires on getting Kawhi. Possibly in return for Jimmy Butler. You know, there is that number 11 pick just sitting there. But the tricky part with all this Kawhi stuff is that Adam Silver and the NBA, yes, Jim, we are very much looking into the aspiration situation. Are you, Adam? Because it took from before the season to all the way through to still now and we don't have anything. Did something happen? Because it sort of seemed like something happened. And look, no, never put it past lawyers to extend billable hours, because that's what is happening right now. I feel like the NBA's been taken for a ride. It's pretty funny. Anyway, so we don't have any sort of resolution for the aspiration saga. And so you can imagine that any team that trades for Kawhi is like, but is he going to get fucking suspended for like salary cap circumvention? Jesus. That's a bit fucking weird. But the Kawhi, Jaylen Brown, Giannis situation, like that's all still floating around. And we sort of go into this, the last day and a bit before the draft, and you're like, well, is there going to be any sort of resolution? Is Jaylen Brown going to be part of this trade package that goes out, floats around? There were like reports floating around today that the Giannis trade package would be essentially a 3 or 4 teamer, where Portland are getting Hero, Milwaukee's getting like Shaden Sharp, and a bunch of other bits and bobs. A bunch of their picks, all these sorts of things. And you're like, all right, I just want it to happen now. I still just don't think that Boston should do it. I don't think it changes their outlook that much if they're losing more than Jaylen Brown. Anyway, so yeah, now that Kawhi's being involved in trade speculation, Jaylen Brown, Giannis, it's all going a little bit chaotic, which is kind of fun. And the fun part is something will happen between like now and the end of the draft where we didn't expect it. And you're like, oh, geez, no one saw that coming. So we'll see what happened that is. But anyway, and the last little bit before we get into this draft breakdown, is the very fun idea that we have 2 teams currently heading into a draft in 2 days that do not have a head coach. Right? Because remember how the Trailblazers completely cheaped out on hiring Tiago Splitter. And he went, what? How much do you want to pay? No, I want to go get paid at least the average for a head coach with Chicago. And Portland are like, nah, man. It's too rich for my blood. Tom Dundon is so cheap. He doesn't even want to pay a coach right now because he's like, but we're not playing. Why would I pay a coach right now if I don't have players playing? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because I'm cheap as hell. They also don't have any picks in this draft, but because he's cheap, I can't imagine them buying their way back into it. So, yeah. The Blazers and the Mavs are the other team, obviously, because Jason Kidd got fired by his old mate Masai Ujiri. Fuck Brooklyn, says Masai, back when Jason Kidd was in charge. Amazing gear, very funny. But the Mavs have also got this sort of situation where they have hired the lead dude, right? Masai is in place, and he'll just draft whoever he thinks fits with his team and then hire the coach that also fits his idea, and that's okay. Whereas the Blazers, it's kind of like, we're running a thing, and then the coach is going to come in and be like, so who'd we draft? Oh, I don't like that guy. So that's pretty good. It's not great, is it? Oh boy, Portland. At least the good thing for the Blazers fans out there is that their team is very fun and very interesting. And the Blazers, the NBA is a better place when the Blazers are just weird and interesting and kind of fun and kind of good. Like the Dame run was awesome. Before that, the Brandon Roy, LaMarcus Aldridge run was very, very fun. Before that, the Jailblazers. Before that, Clyde, all the fun stuff. But anyway, the Mavs, they've also got like the vast majority of a roster just sitting there. They just need to be healthy. So, but the cool thing is they've also got 2 picks in this draft. So let's take a quick break and then get right into a whole mess of draft speculation right after this.
This is Cam Glidden.
This is Anthony Drimmick.
This is Mitch McCarron.
This is Jason Kidd.
This is Darryl McDonald.
Hey guys, this is Hugh Greenwood.
Yo, what's going on? This is Illy.
This is Mark Worthington, or commonly known as Wortho, and you're listening to NBA Straya.
You listen to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA
And you're listening to
Straya.
NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
Welcome to the 2026 NBA Draft. NBA Straya draft speculation. That's right. The NBA draft is insane. Stuff happens, right? This is the thing. And I spend all of my time watching NBA, right? And a lot of NBL. That's how I roll. College, I watch smatterings of it throughout the season. I watch a bunch of March Madness. That's all well and good. And I am nowhere near any sort of draft Nick, right? You couldn't even call me a draft Jim. So my rampant draft speculation is based off like all the reading I've done like over the last, month and a bit. As you sort of get towards like a, especially once the finals sort of hit like their crescendo, you're just like, all right, cool. Just like we're going full draft. This year, because the top four has been sort of like so clear cut at least, then once the draft lottery happens, you're like, all right, how does this all slot? What's going to happen? And we head into this draft not really knowing exactly what's going to happen. You don't have Cooper Flag, you don't have Wemby, you don't have Zion, you don't have Anthony Davis. The number one pick this year with the Washington Wizards on the clock. The Washington Wizards are on the clock. No one really knows what's going to happen, right? They probably aren't entirely sure. I guess because, the other thing that happened over the weekend was Trae Young opted out of his big deal of $49 million for the last year of his contract. And it seems as though the entire point behind him doing that was to re-up with the Wizards. Because remember, Trae Young's on the Wizards, along with Anthony Davis. Sure. But anyway, so with that in mind, the Wizards are kind of like, maybe it threw them for a loop. Maybe they knew this was like part of the plan all along. Maybe it's Trae Young just trying to get some more leverage and get some more money out of the Wizards because he knows he's going to be sidelined by whoever they draft quick enough. But the situation is, as stands, not knowable, really, because we've got probably, you look around the league, everybody sort of got their own favorite guy out of these top four. And the Wizards, you can see two clear-cut spots where you're like, yeah, I can see this guy going there or I can see this guy going there at number one. That makes sense to me. And that's what, in my brain, I always go through these NBA Straya draft, mock drafts, whatever, and think, right, who just fits on this team based on what I know, which isn't a giant amount, but I have seen bits and bobs. You read a lot. You sort of try to figure out how these dudes, these young players, the molds in which they fit, how they might develop, all this sort of stuff. And the rampant draft speculation this year has been very, very fun because, again, it is like all a bit of a shrug, right? A bit of a shrug emoji. You're like, I don't know. So this is very, very cool because really, you've got the top four. And within that top four, you've kind of got a top two because it's hard to see someone like Boozer or Caleb Wilson going number one, but we still don't know what the Wizards are going to do. Right? They might just love Cam Boozer and we don't know about it yet. But still, because they're on the clock at number one, you can see them with their sort of pick between the top two, really, AJ DeBanster and Darren Peterson. So you got that top four. Then after that top four, you've got this group of four guards that are sort of seemingly cut above like the next tier of players. And that's A Cuff, it's Wagler, it's Kingston Flemings, and who's the other one? Braden Burries, right? Like these sorts of dudes who in the next, like basically the picks 5 through 10, or 5 through 9, it's who knows what's going to happen. Like, and someone could jump up into that group depending on like what that team thinks. But that's essentially how I look at this. You got a top four, then you got four guards who are all very interesting prospects in their own way. Again, a lot of the eye of the beholder kind of stuff. And then chaos and a lot of really good talent. So this year is going to be very, very interesting. I think it's like the second straight year where we've got like a really fun deep draft. Whereas at least last year with Flag going number one, we sort of knew that a couple of the other dudes in that top 5 were going to be really good. And it turns out the top 4 was absolutely fucking awesome because you go Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombe, and Connie Nips, right? Awesome top 4. And then Ace Bailey showed us a bit in Utah. Trey Johnson, probably not enough in the Wiz. Jeremiah, zero fears. Yegor Damon, because the Nets are run by morons. Calamari Boyles. You've got Cameron Maliwatch. But then you got gems like Cedric Coward. He was awesome at number 11. Derek Queen at 13. Carter Bryant at 14. You also got not a giant amount after that until you get to sort of maybe Nate Clifford at 24. He was pretty solid for Sacramento at times. Hugo Gonzalez on the Celtics. Nita Hauser on the Clips. Obviously, Kalkbrenner. You had the Panda down there in Orlando. Who else? There was Maxi ran at 42 as well. Very handy. All of our Aussies going in that group late as well, between Rocco at 45, Proctor at 49, and then Tui at 52 was pretty fun. But again, it was a pretty deep draft where there's a couple of really good players no matter where you look. And you look at this one, you're like, yeah, dude, this might be like a Dame Lillard situation where out of those 4 guards outside the top 4, one of them might just be a bit of a Dame Lillard. Where you might remember he went 6 to Portland, I want to say. And that was just like this chaos sort of moment where he was I think he was originally the Nets pick as well, which is very funny. Yeah, Dame was 6th in 2012. And then obviously goes to Portland, pops off and is absolute chaos. Undersized, but like an absolute chaos bucket getter. And there's like a little bit of that in some of these dudes. But anyway, so if we think about this, we've got the top 4, we've got 4 guards, chaos, some solid bigs in there. No real sort of standout. Oh, shit. Okay. We're looking pretty interesting here, but a couple of decent ones. But I think the one thing that really stands out to me about this one, outside of obviously your top 4, which is really, really super duper solid, we have a lot of teams with multiple picks. Doesn't usually happen. We have Memphis, right, who have 3 and 16. Not bad. You have Chicago that have 4 and 15. Not bad. Good size. Charlotte. Charlotte, what do they have? They've got 2 pretty close together at 18 as well as 14. So 14 and 18. You got OKC at 12 and 17. Oh, no. You got Atlanta at 8. And because that's the New Orleans pick, which is still very funny. 8 and 23. It's a pick from Cleveland. And then you have Dallas at 9 and 30. So with these teams with multiple picks, especially some that are kind of motivated to maybe collapse those picks into maybe a single pick or, looking at you, OKC. But a couple of those teams are obviously on the hunt for just talent adding. And that's Memphis, Chicago, Charlotte, probably even Atlanta still, and Dallas. But who knows? It's just like this, again, a bit more of an unknown where you're like, who knows what they're going to do? Are they going to try to move up? Are they going to move back? There are teams as well in that top 10 where you're like, as good as the talent is, Brooklyn think they're smarter than everybody. Will they trade back and infuriate everybody? Maybe. What about the Clippers? Are they going to maybe trade Kawhi? And try to snag as many picks as they possibly can. Who knows what's going to happen? It's going to be fun. It's going to be crazy. There are 2 teams that don't have any picks, which is Indy, because they lost pick number 5 in the Zubac trade, remember? All because of a coin toss. And Portland don't have any picks. Houston don't have a first rounder either. You've got basically a weird sort of Phoenix have got a second rounder, I think, as well. They don't have a first rounder. Orlando don't have a first rounder. Yeah, New Orleans, I think, have got a second rounder out of all of this. It's all very, very, very messy. But anyway, what do we reckon's gonna happen? Let's do it! 2026 NBA Straya mock draft. What does the team need and who fits? What I kind of reckon is going to happen. The Washington Wizards are on the clock. Oh, jeez, Jim. Yes, thanks, Adam. Washington, what do they need? Well, they've got Trae Young. Jim, that doesn't matter. I know. I'd never believed in the Trae Young situation, but I still, like, my entire thing was like, you can build a team around Trae Young to a degree. Having Anthony Davis on a team with Trae Young is actually probably a pretty interesting thing. What they need is a superstar, guard or wing, and just go, right, it's very cute that we've got Trae Young. It's very cute that we've got Anthony Davis. We don't need them because this is the dude. And I am just really, really, really fucking scared off by the Darren Peterson stuff this year. Right? The weird cramps, the I'm going to play, I'm going to take myself out. I'm just having a weird fucking strange year. Oh, it was the creatine. Sure it was, buddy. I'm the whiz. Fuck that. I want AJ DeBanster. Right? Give me an awesome, super duper, all level scoring big wing that I can take at number one that fits perfectly on my existing team with Trae Young, Anthony Davis, but because those two veterans are kind of in this weird situation where they're not going to be the absolute focus, you get to shine, but you don't have to do all the heavy lifting. I fucking love this for DeBanster. So, super duper smart player. He'll make it work. He'll be awesome. And if you sort of look at the way, like they've already got Trey Johnson and a bunch of other dudes on that Washington team. They've got Alexander Sarko as well, right? You've got Bub Carrington, Bilal Coulibaly, Will Riley, who was pretty solid last year too, Keyshawn George. You literally just slot AJ in there and you suddenly have like this really, I don't know, it's almost like a kind of strangely top-heavy team where like you've got a bit of superstar talent there and then you've got a substantially okay amount of depth. It's weird and kind of fun, so that's good. So if I'm Washington, the 3 is kind of the exact spot that I'm just going, cool, we've got AD, we've got Sar, let's get an awesome wing who can do a bit of everything, and away we go. We're taking AJ. Boom. You love that. Number 2, the Utah Jazz. It's a soft J. I don't know what the Boozer stuff is about. There's a lot of, hearing Cam Boozer. And you're like, fucking really? Is it literally just because you're like, Carlos Boozer works there? That's my good friend, Carlos Boozer. So he works for them. You know what he's probably not doing? You need to draft my son. Because you know who probably wouldn't fucking listen to him? Danny Ainge. And you know who's in charge? Danny Ainge. I've got a feeling like Keontae George is very good. I also think Keontae George and Darren Peterson are an awesome sort of weird combination backcourt that just kind of works. You got Isaiah Collier still there too. I just kind of like it because then you can put Ace Bailey with them and then whatever fucking big combination of bigs that you need. Because remember, they traded for Jaren Jackson Jr. You've already still got Lowry Markkanen and you've got the big fella Walker Kessler as long as you can figure out that fucking contract. You've got Nurk. Like you basically see they go, if we have another super duper star guard that we can throw on this team and he can do a little bit of everything, great two-way vibes, and we can figure out and finagle the rotation with him, Keontae, Ace Bailey, Jaren Jackson Jr., Lowry, and then Walker Kessler. You're giving yourself some pretty fucking good options. The only thing is, I just don't know if Peterson's just going to give Danny Ainge like way too many Markelle Fultz vibes, right? So who knows? But I do think the Boozer chatter is weird because they're like, oh, you can't have enough bigs to do shit. I'm like, well, you can, because I think it's 4. Like, there is redundancy when you've got 4 big men and Nurk. Like, do you think that's going to go great? I understand that Boozer's really fucking good, but you've got Lowry, you got Triple J, you got Kessler. Are you going to trade Lowry and Kessler? If you are, maybe Boozer and Triple J work together, but at the same time, I don't know if Triple J is going to be your full-time 5. Anyway. Essentially, this all comes down to the simple idea, like if they make some more moves and anything is fucking possible with Danny Ainge, Utah could do that, but I think I would love, and for me, looking at this, if I'm running it, I want a superstar, possible superstar guard in Darren Peterson to put next to Keontae, who was very, very good at times last year, but also probably needed that balancing out agent. I think Peterson could be that. You got Ace Bailey, who probably is like, hey man, I'm fucking awesome too. This could be the start of something absolutely insane if you get Peterson in there. I feel like Boozer's maybe the safer one, like where the floor is a bit higher. Peterson, the sky is the fucking limit. So that's who I'd be taking it to. Number 3, the Grizzlies. I would fucking love Boozer for them. If Peterson drops, easy. But the thing is, if you get Boozer, if Peterson drops, you're fucking laughing either way, right? Because it means you can do whatever the fuck you want with Ja Morant. Real simple, like you can trade him for a bag of peanuts, you can piss him off, you can fucking keep him if you want. It doesn't matter, right? If you've got Boozer, you can keep Ja possibly, see what happens. He's still young. I don't know. But Boozer instantly gives you like a respectable front court partner alongside with Zach Edey and co. And it just really fills it back up and really, really makes it a lot easier to sort of deal with like any of the sort of unknowable stuff that Memphis are going to deal with, which for the last bunch of years has been a shit ton of fucking injuries, right? But suddenly you've got like this built-in like offensive hub, super high IQ guy. He'll be awesome. If you're keeping Ja, you've suddenly still got Ja, Cedric Coward, Jalen Wells, Cam Boozer, Zach Edey, the notorious KCP, Scottie Pippen Jr., Ty Jerome, Taylor Hendricks, Omax Prosper. Like there's just a bit of shit going on suddenly in Memphis. And they've got another pick later on to plug any other gaps. So I'd love Boozer for them. And if Peterson drops as well, that means you can just fuck Jar off just straight away. Just go, hello, Darren, this is your team. And he's like, fuck, I actually don't mind this. And off he goes. You're laughing if you're Memphis, right? Laughing. So the pick for me there is Boozer because I've given Peterson to Utah. But who knows? It's fine either way. Number 4, Chicago. The Chicago Bulls. What do they need, Jim? Well, they need a big. But there's no bigs in this top 4 really. Like there's no center, which sort of sucks. They need a big or a wing who can just fucking play, kick some ass, take some names. If Boozer falls to them, love it. Like Gids, Boozelis, and Boozer, amazing. But Caleb Wilson's the obvious one there. He's like the other of the 4. It feels like he's most likely to go 4th. But at the same time, who fucking knows? Utah could just fall in love with Caleb Wilson. You're like, you know what we need in this front court? Crazy athleticism. He's like, hello. So, Caleb Wilson is the pick here because you can then fuck Patch off. You can go then spend a bunch of money and, as soon as you carve out a bit of cap space there in Chicago, you can maybe try and go and get Walker Kessler or somebody of that ilk. Nick Claxton. Go get a big who can give you a bit of defensive backbone out of nowhere. And Caleb Wilson, even though, last year, you sort of, kicked around a little bit of like, we'll get some bigs, and they go and draft, Noah Essengay, and they took our man, Lockie Olbrick, and you're like, all right. They ended up with Yabu as well, don't forget. But yeah, you can fuck Jalen Smith off. You can fuck off Patch Williams. Just a pair of spuds. Just get rid of them. Get Caleb Wilson. Put him next to Boozelis, next to Gids. Take a guard with your second pick, and you are fucking laughing, Chicago. So, because they do need that scoring guard as well. They've got Dillingham. They've got Sexton. You can bring back the Sex Man if you want next to Gids. You got Trey Jones. There's a lot of interesting sort of bits and bobs floating. They've got Anthony Penny Simons, for fuck's sake. Like, there is a lot of weird shit going on in Chicago. I think if you get another big, maybe another scoring guard, or you just double down on just build out your front court, that's fine by me. They've got new dudes in charge, so hopefully they're just not going to pick a wing who can't play fucking offense, which is what the Bulls have done for a million years. But anyway, Caleb Wilson, he looks amazing. Just imagine Gids throwing lobs to him 24-7. Sign me up. All right, there's the top 4. AJ, Peterson, Boozer, and Caleb Wilson. It's obvious stuff. Then it gets weird. The LA Clippers, what do they need? They need a shooter. They need a bigger guard, possibly next to Darius Rucker, Judy Garland. And they've got their choice of guards. Unfortunately, only one of them's kind of big-ish. So it sort of comes down to like what they reckon they can sort of, I don't know, carve out next to Garland. Because at the moment, their rotation is like Darius Garland, Chris Dunn, Benny Mathurin next to Kawhi and Derek Jones Jr. and stuff. So the interesting thing is you've got a couple of dudes that you can throw in there. You got Kingston, Flemings, Keaton Wagler, Acuff, Burries. And apparently they fucking love Braden Burries. Who knows if that's just a smokescreen and they trade back. I don't know. Wagler's the biggest of those four. Burries isn't that small, however. He's like 6'4". He's a hint older as well. And you sort of just have this moment of like, maybe. Just maybe. Wagler, though, is a shooter, 6'5". Not bad if you put him next to Darius Rucker, Judy Garland. Because, like, the thing, I guess, with Garland, who's, like, on the smaller side, like 6'1", you run the risk of just sort of duplicating what you had, I guess, there in Cleveland with Garland and Mitchell. But I think, basically, as long as you go either Wagler or Burries, you've got, like, a little bit of size next to him at the 2, and you're kind of okay. And I think I'm okay with that. And if the Clippers actually take it, they sort of do need another big. Maybe they trade back and get like a couple of those picks. Like maybe if they just trade straight back with like OKC and then OKC trade up to 5 for those 2 picks. I don't know if it's worth it. But anyway, I think all the scuttlebutt has been they love Burries. Who knows who they take? I think that kind of works though. But mostly what they need is one of those 2 bigger ones, which is Burries or Wagler. And I'm going to give them Burries because that's all we're hearing. So, number 6, Brooklyn. What do they need, Jim? Just fucking anything. They need talent, mate. Oh, but they took fucking 27 point guards last year. Yeah, because Sean Marks is just throwing darts at a fucking dartboard. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if he's hitting anything really, so I guess we'll find out. Because I think they just need a guard who can actually fucking just walk onto the court and shoot. Because that was a big, big problem with all their other dudes all season long. Yay, Damien, Traore. Like, what do they have? Like, they had Powell, they had Wolf. Who was their other one? Either way, it was a bit of a shit show, right? And you're just like, can you just... Benny Sarif, that was the other one. There's not quite enough shooting there, and it feels like Acuff has got the one who's got that superstar vibe to him. Like, if you are going to kick yourself for years and years and years ago, missing out on the Dame Lillard pick because of, what was that? That was the top 3 Gerald Wallace protected pick that they sent out, which is still hilarious. Like, even Wagler fits there too, right? Because, again, he can shoot the piss out of it, so he's got a bit of wiggle to him. I don't know if he's got the crazy upside, though, of Acuff. So, yeah. I kind of feel like Acuff, despite his sort of, 6'2", I feel like I don't give a fuck that you've already got like 87 point guards. Just give me Acuff. The dude is going to be, I think, pretty bloody good. And what was it, 23.5 points a game? That's just absolutely insane. And he shot the absolute bejeebers out of it from 3. I'm taking Acuff if I'm Brooklyn. That gives you a something. The rest of the other guys, yes, they've got a year in the system. Maybe they'll be okay. But they become just like fucking dudes. You've got Acuff. Let him go. Hope that he's Dame. And off you do it. Let's go Brooklyn. 7. Sacramento. We need to speed this up as well, don't we? What do they need? They need a direction. Are they going to trade the Suvlaki King Domantas Sabonis? I think the funniest one, and like what they kind of need as well, if you look at the Sacramento roster, like, my favorite thing is, like, if they go Kingston Flemings and he just turns into, like, a different version of Malik Monk, that feels like the most Sacramento thing in the world, doesn't it? Yes, Jim, it does, because it probably is. But at the moment, you got Rusty, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, the Suvlaki King Domantas Sabonis, Nate Clifford, who I do like. You've still got DeAndre Hannah on that team. You've got Maxi Reyno. You've got Dylan Cardwell, who wasn't too bad. Devin Carter on his hairline. Kingston Flemings means you can piss Malik Monk off. just fucking hand him the car keys. Who knows what's going to happen? You got to piss off Levine and DeRozan at some point. You're not winning shit with this team, right? So it sort of comes down to who do you think's got like the highest ceiling out of Kingston Flemings, Wagler, or Michael Brown Jr. And I think Kingston Flemings feels like the most Sacramento. Like he just does. He'll be fine, I reckon. But yeah, Kingston Flemings to Sacramento, sign me up. It's the funniest possible outcome. Absolute, like, can score the piss out of it. He's pretty funny. Let's go. Maybe you got a little bit of Maxi in him. Like, I don't know. But yeah, Kingston Flemings to Sacramento at 7. Atlanta, they probably need a bit of, they're kind of like perfectly situated, I think, at 8, because they kind of need whatever they want there at 8, right? Like, they need guard depth and shooting. And if Keaton Wagler is still there, fucking bang, done. Lock it in. It's perfect, I think, next to CJ, Dyson Daniels, Nicky Alexander-Walker and co. Fucking gun, shooter, off you go. Fucking laughing, right? So I would sort of just like lock that in and just say, good night. In we go. He shot, 40% from 3 last year, did Wagler. Atlanta would love that. And I think it'd be ideal. So we're taking Keaton Wagler there. 9. That means you got Dallas. What do they need? Well, they sort of need guard depth, if that makes sense, right? Because you sort of think about the way that Dallas operated last year, and like it's funny that they've gone from Luka to Cooper Flag, because I think you build a team the exact same way around Cooper Flag as you kind of did Luka. Maybe a hint differently because you've already got Kyrie, and Cooper Flag isn't the playmaker that Luka was. But by the same token, if you like, you've already got Najee Marshall, you've still got PJ Washington, you got Clay, Chris Middleton is still there as well, right? So I think all you need is just the hint more of that really, really good scoring guard depth, along with Max Christie and co. They've got Ryan Nembhard as the backup point guard essentially, along with Kyrie. Michael Brown Jr. is right there. I feel like he's the sort of ideal spot. He's like maybe that. Like he had a weird year, but he's like big enough. He went to Louisville, a strange odd year, but I think he's really good for Dallas at 9. Because like a lot of the other team, like another bunch of the other spots there, like Lindeborg or as one of the sort of big wings. I don't know if you sort of, what do you got? Swain as well. The other sort of swing dudes. I think Dallas needs just another scoring-ish kind of guard that they can bring in, give them a bit of extra punch, run the show a bit if needed. Because between Kyrie, Cooper Flag, and you got your wings and stuff, I think that's all you kind of want, right? You need scoring guard and maybe one more 3-and-D wing. I'm going to take Michael Brown at 9. Now it gets weird, because you got Milwaukee. It's Algonquin for the good land, isn't it, Jim? Not at the moment because they haven't traded Giannis yet, so we don't know what the fuck's going on. So we need, what do they need? Clarity. Is this their only pick? Who knows? They kind of need everything. They need to swing for the fences a little bit here. And it sort of feels like the Nate Ament, Yaxel, maybe not so, like Phylon, Merez Johnson in this sort of range. I think Nate Ament is probably the one that you might have a bit of a look at. Right? It's sort of the dude where you go, all right, Nate Ament, I think we can sort of, at least you look at him and go, you can, like the way that he came into this season and the way that he, didn't exactly cover himself in a large amount of glory there in Tennessee, but I don't know. It just sort of feels like a bit more of a swing because he just wasn't that great. And he was like this guy who was like, really, really ballyhooed going into the season. But he's a 6'10", fucking kind of can do a bit of everything, bit of versatility. Kind of don't mind it. So I think that's probably what you end up doing. He's got a bit of shit to him. I think that's probably where I'd land if I'm Milwaukee because at the same time, I don't know if you can, like if any of those guards drop, I'd probably take one of those over Nate Ament, like if Kingston Flemings or Wagler or basically anybody. I'd probably like go, right, now if we've got a guard and we can build around whatever the fuck else we get from the Giannis trade, we're laughing. But even if Giannis stays, now we've got a guard. This would be kind of cool. Whereas the Nate Ament one feels like, it's the if Giannis is gone, all right, we need to be studs up, off we go. So Nate Ament. 11, Golden State. They sort of need they need some wings. They probably need dudes who can play right away, and that's Yaxel Lindeborg for me. Sort of slots right onto that team. Exact sort of role that they were probably hoping like the Kuminga could have been doing. But like with a little bit more, I don't know, sort of, he's already pretty fucking old, but that's probably exactly, he'll be 24 by the time he starts. Jesus. But I kind of think he's the entire vibe that they'll be looking for. So he's the easy one for me there, Yaxel. OKC at 12. They need roster flexibility, right? More than anything, they just need a bit of roster flexibility. So I don't know if 12 and 17 get traded and they move up. But I think they move on from Dort this offseason. And there is at 12, you can just go get Ade Mara and boom. Do you bring back Hartenstein at that point? Or do you just have Mara there as like a third big that you can eventually replace Hartenstein with? You can use to replace Hartenstein in a year or two. I'm okay with that. Just go get a big now. Mara is fucking huge. Do it. I mean, Morez Johnson is the other interesting one if you just want a bit of front court size and skill. And that's sort of the other thing they kind of do need, right? That 6'9", 6'10", like beast wing that they can put next to Chet. So Chet's like, I like playing power forward next to Hartenstein. It's like, well, how about you play center for a bit and we've got this fucking bruiser over here. But yeah, a couple of bigs would be kind of handy. A really big wing. Someone like Morez might be interesting. Ament might actually not be a bad pick there too at 12, but if he's off the board here, so we're going Mara. 13, what do Miami need? Well, they need, again, Giannis, probably. They need clarity on what the absolute F they're going to do. If they pull off the Giannis trade, they probably don't have this pick, would be my guess. But even if they do keep this, they've got Hero. They've got some dudes. Again, you've got, Andrew Wiggins, Norm Powell, Jaime Jaquez, Davion Mitchell. I want to take LeBaron Philon, I think, here for them if they keep the pick, just because he sort of gives you like a very fun sort of guard positional variability, and can actually just sort of like, I don't know, really buy into that sort of Miami vibe, I think. So, yeah, I think he can give you a little bit of shit. I don't mind Philon. So, yeah, 22 points a game last year, 40% from three. Like, Hero, Philon, Davion Mitchell. The Norm Powell experience has been pretty interesting. I don't know. But, yeah. I don't know if I like any of the bigs to sort of replace Khalil Ware just there. Well, yeah, if Ware's gone, they don't have this pick anyway. So, yeah, they're a bit fucked. But I think Ware and Bam are fine. So I want to get like one more wing. 14, Charlotte. They probably need I think they need one more big body. And this is one that I've sort of been looking at. Like, because you got Diabate, Kalkbrenner. Grant Williams is like the next Miles Bridges. Give me Morez Johnson for Charlotte here. I think he'd be a pretty interesting one for the simple idea of like, I don't know, that sort of rangier, interesting, strange kind of player that sort of can do a little bit of everything. It might be a bit early in some places, but I think I kind of like Morez here for them. Yeah, because I think people are sort of getting a little bit on the Morez Johnson board. 6'9", he's 20. Yeah, why not? Go there, Charlotte. Kind of exactly like, especially get a Miles Bridges replacement with one of these two picks and you're laughing. Number 15, Charlotte. We're taking, what do we need? We needed a scoring guard or wing. Christian Anderson. How do you feel about that? He's a bit small, can shoot the piss out of it. So it's either Christian Anderson Jr. here or Cameron Carr for me. because if Morez Johnson's just gone off the board, you're kind of like, oh, am I going to take Hans Steinbach? Maybe. But I think Chicago, we might just take a little bit more shooting and a little bit more playmaking because we can just let Sexton walk at that point. And then they've got, big rangy forward, another scoring guard to pair next to Gids and co. and shoot the piss out of it when they're playing off ball. So, yeah, that's what I want. Christian Anderson or Cameron Carr right there at 15. 16, Memphis. This is where Hans Steinbach goes because they kind of just need whatever talent there is there. What they don't have is much fucking size on that roster outside of 80. So I'm going to take Hans Steinbach, and that's funnier. So there we go. 17, OKC. This one's from Philly. Good stuff here. What do they need at this point? They probably need another big wing. And they also probably need to stash him. Karim Lopez, come on down. That's right, the NBL's own Karim Lopez. Can he stay another year with the Breakers? Here we go. Draft and stash from OKC at 17, if you ask me. Charlotte, 18. Again, I'm pissing off Miles Bridges. Piss him off. They need some more shooting. Dalen Swain is probably the one I'm going to pop in there. Again, they just sort of need more wings around the Mello and Connie Nips. Can do a little bit of everything, so give me Swain. 19, Toronto. They are a fascinating team. What do they need? They've got a shit ton of wings. I think they just need more sort of shooting and playmaking. Just decent guard play, right? When Emmanuel quickly went out, like, they were this interesting team that whenever they were super duper healthy, who knew what the fuck was going to happen? You've got Calamari Boyles. You've got Brandon Spindles Ingram. You've got Scotty Barnes. You've got RJ Barrett. You just need a dude who is meant to be Grady Dick. How about you go and get other Grady Dick and Bennett Sturts? Just do that. Hopefully he can shoot the piss out of it for you. San Antonio at 20. What do they need, Jim? They need a tough guy next to Wemby who can go just lay some fucking wood. Right? So give me a decent, big-ish kind of guy who can lay a little bit of wood at least. And I think for me at this point, that means you're probably getting, I don't know, Koa Pete. And who's the other one? Zuby Ejiofor from St. John's. He's like an absolute just I'm going to fuck you up. He's only 6'7", but he's massive. And yeah, hit first, go hammer and tongs, and off we go. I don't mind Zuby there. Quaintance is another one as well, right? If everyone's big problem with Quaintance is his health. And I think if he's there at 20 for the Spurs, that's probably not a bad one either, just to get another decent big that you can sort of throw into the fray. But yeah, so I think I'll go Zuby there, maybe Koa Pete, Quaintance if they're okay with the health. 21, the Detroit Basketball Pistons. What do they need, Jim? One fucking thing. And one thing only. Shooting. Scoring. A bit of pow off the bench, or they can start them at the 2 next to Cade. Give me Cameron Carr if he's still there. Love that. Christian Anderson possibly if either of those go. Arkansas's Malik Thomas is probably my third option there, but Detroit just need to get a scorer. If they somehow manage to jump into the Milwaukee Miami Giannis trade and walk away with Tyler Hero, I'm okay with that as well. If not, use your 21 pick on a fucking dead-eye shooter like Cameron Carr or Anderson or someone. 22, Philly. What do they need, Jim? They need another decent wing big. In my draft here, Alan Graves has dropped to this point. Bang. Perfect, I think, for Philly. When you've already got VJ and Maxey, Paul George, Embiid, Graves can do the sort of all the other little things. So I'd put him on Philly. I'd love that there. 23, Atlanta. I think we sort of just need whatever big is left if you're the Hawks. And that's Henri Vassar, the big Estonian. Slot him onto Atlanta and off he goes. That's probably the one thing that they need now, right? With Onyeka Okongwu doing very well, you've taken another guard at the top of this one. You got a bit of size. You probably just need one more big man. So that's it for Atlanta. 23. Vassar. 24, the New York City Knickerbockers of New York City, your reigning NBA champions. They will probably need a backup big man because they can't afford to keep Mitch Robinson. So take your pick. Do you want Chris Sinak Jr.? Do you want, what is the other one? Taris Reed Jr.? I'll probably take Snack. I reckon. It's a pretty decent, like, you know, stretch of dudes that they could actually, you know, kick the tires on. So, because you got Snack from Houston. I mean, Koa Pete wouldn't be too bad either, but who was the other one I just said? I just said one other one. Fuck, I can't remember. Oh, yeah, Terrace Reid. Yeah, some good options there for the New York City Knickerbockers of New York City at 25. Why not? Then it gets 24. Then it gets weird. The Lakers, they need Luka players, right? They need 3-and-D dudes. There's not a giant amount here at this point. There's Isaiah Evans from Duke. There's Amari Allen from Alabama, right? It's pretty interesting. He's a very interesting one, I think. I don't know if he's like kind of the Lakers-y kind of dude. A defensive big. I don't know. It's a bit weird. If San Antonio don't take Zuby, maybe you can take Zuby there. And the kind of same thing goes for like Quaintance. If you believe in his health and he's okay, Quaintance at 25 would be a fucking massive steal. So yeah, let's just give him either Zuby or Quaintance. Basically, whoever the Spurs don't pick to have as a defensive kind of big-ish kind of forward dude that maybe you can play next to Rui, LeBron. Don't know. Or you just go and get like, yeah, whichever Amari Allen or somebody. That's where we go. It's a tough one for the Lakers at that spot, right? It's very weird. Especially, I think, if you like, I think in mine, I've got Isaiah Evans going 30 to Dallas. Spoiler alert. They've also, yeah, if you think about Terrace Reid as well, if we don't have him going to San Antonio as like one of those bigs, or or New York, or Vassar for Atlanta, maybe if you get one of those bigs, you've actually got a decent actual big man sort of backing up. If you keep Ayton for one more year, who knows? It's a bit of a tricky one for the Lakers at 25. There'll be plenty of options. It's just trying to figure out which one's the good one, right? Malik Thomas is a bit of a scoring guard as well. Maybe Karim Lopez is falling there. I don't know. But yeah, the Lakers, you sort of need to figure out how you're going to build around Reeves and Luka and LeBron. And usually that's 3-and-D wings and a defensive big. So yeah, whatever sort of fits. Denver, 26. You just need probably, if Quaintance is there, fucking lock him in. Absolutely crushing it. If not, I'd want, and this is going to go for the next team as well, maybe Josh Jefferson. Interesting player. Amari Allen, who I just mentioned as well. It's a pretty interesting one there too. Yeah. But I think Jefferson's probably not a bad idea for Denver, just a little bit of everything. Or even actually, again, if Isaiah Evans, if you're feeling good about that, can shoot the piss out of it. But I just want him on Dallas because he's Cooper Flagg's old teammate. So if Quaintance is dropped to Denver, that'd be kind of an interesting one next to Jokic, backing him up at least. And again, like the sort of dude who can, like, you need that sort of Aaron Gordon clone, right? Like the really rangy, athletic big, but Quaintance's health thing is a big problem. So yeah, a couple of extra ones, but Quaintance or Josh Jefferson. Boston, Sergio De La Rea. Not a bad one there. They sort of just need like another defensive guard / wing, because I don't know if you're going to get a really good big at this point. And a couple of the other dudes in the guard areas here are kind of already covered with a lot of the Boston stuff if you've kept Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. 28, Minnesota, they need a bit of shooting. And Ibuka Okori's on this one. If he falls this far, this would be amazing for the Wolves. Snap. But in this one, I'm like, I didn't really kind of like the fit in some of these other teams. Fits perfectly on Minnesota. Bang, locking him in. 29, Cleveland. They always need a wing. They also need a backup big, I reckon, behind Mobley and Jarrett Gotherthrow-Allen. So we'll give him Terrace Reid Jr. here at this point, the UConn big, which is kind of fine. And that leaves Isaiah Evans to go to Dallas with pick 30 for me. Because again, around Flag and Kyrie, a bit of defensive shooting. Maybe one more big, depending on what you're going to do with Derek Lively and Dan Gafford. But yeah, Isaiah Evans, he's Cooper Flag's teammate from Duke. Can shoot the piss out of it. Decent size for a guard wing. Love that. And there you go. That's all for 30 picks of the first round. Jeez, Jim, how'd you go? Yeah, look, this is like the culmination of my knowledge. And it's all a little bit more, this is not what's going to happen. But it's more about like, if I'm on that team, I'm running that team, what do I need on my team? And like, these are the things that sort of I reckon we got to. So to go sort of back through it all very quickly. 1, Washington, AJ DeBanster. 2, Utah take Peterson. 3, Memphis take Boozer. 4, Chicago, Caleb Wilson. 5, the Clippers have got Braden Burries. 6, Brooklyn take Acuff. 7, Sacramento take the most Sacramento player there, Kingston Flemings. 8, Atlanta get Wagler. 9, Dallas take Michael Brown Jr. And they also get Flags man Isaiah Evans later on, which is pretty handy. I kind of really like that draft for Dallas. 10, Milwaukee. Who knows? We'll take Nate Ament there. 11, Golden State get Yaxel. 12, OKC take Mara. 13, Miami take Phylon. 14, Charlotte, Merez Johnson. 15, Chicago. Let's give them Christian Anderson there. Memphis, Heinz Starnbach after that, which is hilarious. 17, OKC take Lopez and stash him back in New Zealand for another year. Charlotte takes Swain at 18. Toronto, Bennett Sturts at 19 to replace Grady Dick. 20, San Antonio. Acquaintance is healthy, maybe, but we're going to give him Zuby there. 21, Detroit take Cameron Carr. Boom. Philly take Alan Graves at 22. Atlanta, Visa, 23. New York, the reigning champions, take Sinak Jr. 25, the Lakers. If we've given Zuby to San Antone, who do we give the Lakers in the end? Oh, we'll give him Amari Allen, maybe. That'd be funnier. Maybe Joshua Jefferson. Well, give him Jefferson. There you go. Denver, they'll take Quaintance if he's not gone. Boston would give them Sergio De La Rea. Hey, Hugo. Just imagine that. Minnesota, they take Ibuka Okori, and Cleveland take Terrace Reed before Dallas finish it off with Isaiah Evans. Will that happen? No. Is it funny? Yes. And away we go. So, what's going to happen between now and the next show, Jim? Well, Giannis will probably get traded tomorrow, and that'll be funny, and I'll just have to jump back on the show. But when he does, we'll do an emergency show, and that'll be fun. So, that's it for now. That's your sort of mock draft, your draft prep for Wednesday's first round. We'll talk this out, on Wednesday's show after the first round. We might do a bit of a live thing. I don't know what we're going to do on Wednesday morning for the draft. It's a bit of a weird one this year with no real Aussies involved. But anyway, let us know what you want me to do, if that makes sense. If you want me to go live, we'll go fucking live, man. Sit here, drink some brekkie tins. But either way, that's it. That's our draft show locked in. We'll bang that up probably on buymeacoffee.com/NBA Straya if you want to check it all out. You can sign up and become a Dead Set Legend and see it all if you want. That's it. All you have to do. Buymeacoffee.com/NBA Straya. But that's it. So if Giannis gets traded tomorrow, we'll do a quick, reaction show. That'll be kind of fun. Talk out all the sort of repercussions, because obviously all the other teams that will be involved will be pretty wheeling and dealing. Otherwise, if he doesn't, we'll just do a show after the draft on Wednesday, which is going to be nuts. We'll probably go live at some point during the draft, though, because it is one of my top 3 favorite days of the year. So, in the meantime, make sure you are following NBA Straya on Twitter, Facey, IG, TikTok, and YouTube. We'll do a NBA coffee run Wednesday morning as well, just to see what was going on. NFL Straya, Jim does Supercoach, and of course, Footy Unfiltered with myself and Jez. Always a good time there. The best. And, that's just talking AFL. Love doing it. Rate, review, and star all of those shows on your podcast app or on YouTube, whatever you use to listen to your shows. Big thanks always go to From Oslo for the intro and outro song, as well as to House Hats, Joshua Delarentis, Fascinating Gold Mines, Ramshackle Army, Iowa Section, Green, and Dozers there behind all the tunes you hear. Smash them on your streaming platform of choice. Right, NBA Straya Sports, Australian bands. That's it. Nothing else at the end of this one because we're going to get out of here. It is already very late and we've already gone very long. So, we will maybe see you tomorrow if Giannis gets traded. If not, we'll catch you on Wednesday for the draft, you dickheads. There's NBA Straya saying, look after yourselves, would ya? Hug your mates, and later, hosen.